We can think of it this way. Government in America is what religion is in Germany and other countries in Western Europe. Suspect, unter Verdacht. Europeans constrain religion so that it may not impose its benighted tyrannical power on the state, assumed to be secular, rational, and democratic. Americans, by contrast, constrain the state so that it may not impose its tyrannical will on democratic society, we the people. When facing problems, Germans say the government should throw the bastards out. Well, Americans say, throw out the bastards in government. Americans have come by this honestly, or at least historically. We were born in a revolution against central government, but long before, the settlers, starting in the 1620s, were fleeing the centralization, power play between Parliament and Charles I. Hoping to keep local traditions and local political control, they were very wary of London. Second, the many settlers who were religious dissenters were doubly suspicious of central government, first for its centralization and second for its religious persecution. All told, Americans were a group self-selected for keeping central government out of the New Jerusalem, a key trope of our civil religion. Third, the rough nature of settlement and frontier living until the early 20th century further encouraged individual and local self-reliance and the view that government was not good for much since there was relatively little government around to rely on. The role of government grew, to be sure, as the country did. But individual initiative and local community were long the keys to survival in the future. Their value, along with suspicion of central government, was imprinted in the American civil creed. Protestantism, too, had a role. It was also born in a revolution against Rome, and in America further prodded resistance to central authority. The mandate to read the Bible for oneself and to find one's own path to God in America encouraged fervent self-responsibility and unease with authorities, both political and ecclesial. The first great religious awakening in the 1730s and 40s, and the second from the 1820 to nearly the Civil War, were festivals of individual iconoclasm with breakaway religious groups and populist religious ideas promoted by untrained, unschooled, but impassioned entrepreneurial preachers. The churches were not part of an elite system, but grassroots of the people. By the 19th century, two Kentucky preachers could in good anti-authoritarian conscience opine, quote, "We are not personally acquainted with the writings of John Calvin, neither do we care," close quote. Reformed Protestantism, with its formative influence on American political development, held that the sovereign nation does not start with central government, but with local covenanted communities, the foedus, which form networks to constitute the nation. This gave the US its federal system of government, foedus federal, and robust civil society, and its continuing suspicion of central government. From this history came the myth, the reality, and the value of local self-responsibility and individual self-reliance. The other side of the coin, suspicion of government. In America's civil religion, reliance on government authorities is for the faint and faithless of heart. Self-reliance is the Lord's Prayer, the Vater Unser. Blessings come to those who rid themselves of the devil. In political discourse, to those who throw the bastards out, and most of all, the bastards in government. When Ronald Reagan in 1981 said, quote, "Government is not the solution to our problems, government is the problem," close quote, he was channeling American history and zeal. So was Obama. In 2008, he too campaigned on change, throwing the Bush bastards out. As part of America's civil religion, belief in throwing the bums in government out transcends political party. Obama's message of change was absolutely traditional. But rid ye of the devil, throw the bastards out, means that America doesn't know what to do with its own government, which it always would like to throw out. This is writ large in the present election, but it is always writ somewhere in the American political landscape. Let's start with health care. After Obamacare was passed in 2010, 2 Supreme Court cases were brought holding that Obamacare is unconstitutional because it takes away our freedom. How? By requiring Americans to buy health insurance. Low-income earners receive government subsidy for the purchase. That is, the government requirement to buy health insurance is a violation of personal liberty. A second example of suspicion of government is the passionate gun rights movement. The issue is not hunting or self-protection, as no gun legislation seeks to prohibit these. The purpose is rather, and I quote, to protect against the tyranny of our own government, close quote, as a lawyer for the National Rifle Association noted in a 2009 Harvard Law Journal article. Also in 2009, the executive vice president of the National Rifle Association, Wayne LaPierre, said, quote, "Our founding fathers understood that the guys with the guns make the rules," close quote. With Obama's election in 2008, gun sales rose from between 600,000 to 700,000 a year, a low figure for the United States, to 1.1 million guns per year. Similarly, gun sales rose in 2016 as many feared that Hillary Clinton, if elected, would curtail gun purchases.